Hi, this is Hotrabino from DevilsDigest.com. I'm over here with staff writer Jack Harris after Arizona State's Friday night practice. And even though we're not quite through the halfway point of spring, we're 40% of the sessions are in the book. So let's do a mid-spring analysis, especially after tonight where we saw an extensive scrimmage. Let's talk about what we saw earlier tonight. Jack, I really thought it was a bag of mixed goods as far as who really outperformed each other, but maybe tilt a little more to the defense. What did you see tonight?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, ASU might be running a similar offense to what they did last year, but it was still a little bit sloppy on that side of the ball tonight. We saw a couple passing miscommunications, one of which led to an interception from Blake Barnett that Kobe Williams picked off. He was expecting N'Keal Harry to break one way instead of the other, and those are some of the things you expect early in spring. The guys getting back, trying to mesh a little bit again. I think one thing that really is helping the defense early in spring right now is just the fact that at the line of scrimmage, ASU is playing without 3 and maybe even 4 projected starters for the 2018 season with some of the transfer guys and Stephen Miller's injury and Zach Robertson not being here. And the defensive line is pretty much fully healthy right now. And I think that's kind of tilting a little bit of the play, especially in tonight's scrimmage. ASU didn't run the ball a lot because of that. We saw them give up a couple sacks offensively because of that. So, yeah, I think the defense looked a little bit sharper, which is a good sign for them, learning a new defense, having to learn new positions in all 3 position groups. So good news for them. Again, the offense, I think if one of the groups were to be sloppy, you'd almost rather it be the offense because you know what you're getting from them. You know that they'll come around.
So let's talk about the offense and defense and how they performed so far in the first 2 weeks of spring. When you look at the offense, like you said, yes, there are some pieces missing, but a lot of experience coming back, especially wide receiver, quarterback, obviously, offensive line, to some extent. What have you seen from that side of the ball through the first 6 practices, and who are some of the players that stood out more than others on offense?
I think one of the guys offensively who's really stood out is Benjamin, who's going to be stepping into the workhorse role for ASU this year as their number 1 running back. And it hasn't just been between the tackles, which is kind of what he's known for. I mean, he made a couple really nice plays in the passing game today. He's taken some stretch handoffs. He's gotten the ball outside. And I think he has a nice speed and power dimension that maybe the Sun Devils haven't had in recent years. In one running back. So I think for him, this has been a big spring for him. He stepped up well. Frank Darby is another guy really trying to lock down that Z receiver position as their deep threat. He keeps making really tough catches, which is something he's known for. Obviously, N'Keal Harry, he's been in and out of practice with some nagging stuff, but when he's been very, very good. And Manny Wilkins, again, has also been a little inconsistent at times, but as a leader, I mean, you see him out there all the time talking to the receivers, trying to get that communication. Today, even during a walkthrough, he was almost guarding N'Keal Harry a little bit, trying to talk over the routes and things like that with him.
Yeah, and not to need any reinforcement to what you said about Benjamin, but former running back DeMar Richard was at practice today, and he said, hey, look at my protege. He's going to get 1,000 yards this year. I'm not really doubting DeMar Richard when it comes to that. Benjamin definitely showed quite a bit, even though in limited snaps last year, and I think that what you're seeing in the spring right now as a featured running back is really coming true as far as what we can expect from him. So let's shift to the other side of the ball, and I think when spring started, the defense really had, I feel, many more challenges compared to the offense. A brand new scheme, brand new coaching staff from top to bottom, and just a lot of adjustments that they need to make. Jalen Harvey obviously moving from offense to defense. What have you seen from that side of the ball, and really under all those challenges, all those circumstances, has the defense performed as he expected to be this early in the spring?
Yeah, I think they're adjusting to those positions well. Herm Edwards said tonight in his post-practice press conference that they're starting to figure out where to line up without the coaches having to tell them and things like that, which when you're learning not just a new system but a really different system than what ASU's traditionally played, those small little victories, those small things that they're developing right now are going to be key. I think in the secondary, you've seen guys like Jalen Harvey have a really good spring. His coverage abilities are still a little bit raw, obviously switching over from wide receiver, but he's been a ball hawk. He's been picking off passes throughout the 6 practices so far. Chase Lucas has looked very good. He spent a lot of time with Tony White and with Herm Edwards on the side working on some technique things. and he's been the one who's had to guard N'Keal Harry for most of spring so far, and has done a pretty good job of it. Up front, J.J. Wilson at linebacker has really been impressive as well, not just in adjusting to a little bit new position for him, but a lot of guys are coming up to him during practices, asking for his advice. He seems to be one of the guys who's really starting to pick up this new defense quickly in ASU's front six.
So, in the first 2 weeks of spring, we're probably maybe seeing both sides kind of feeling each other out, players adjusting to new roles, new coaches, and what have you. And maybe the third week of spring is we see what the team really is in terms of talent, in terms of executing what the coaches want them to do. So I'll end with this question, Jack. I mean, for the next week or two of spring, what are you personally expecting to see develop, whether it's just a team aspect or maybe one or two players from each side of the ball to really step up? And I'm not saying, erase bad performances for the first 2 weeks, but really come to their own and establish themselves for the rest of spring.
Well, I think the first thing we're going to be looking for is more real tackling. We haven't seen much of that in the first 2 weeks. Herm Edwards said tonight that they're going to start doing more, actually to the ground tackling and moving forward. And that, honestly, with this young defense that struggled at times last year making tackles, that's going to be something to watch for. I think a guy like Darius Slade is a really good example of that, because he's battled some injuries early in spring. He's really only been a full participant twice. But when he has been, he's shown those flashes. The former Ohio State transfer obviously has a lot of talent. It'll be interesting to see how that translates once it's full contact, once it's full tackle. And I think that goes for the front six as a whole. We haven't seen a lot of their blitz packages yet or things like that. It'll be interesting to see how they adjust when they can go full tackle, can go full contact, and what kinds of things that they're able to build on that side of the ball.
Well, thank you so much, Jack. And what you saw in this video with myself and Jack is just a small taste of the analysis pieces we're going to have coming up in the next few days, both on offense and defense. Again, just giving you guys a snapshot of how each position is looking through, like I said, not quite the midway point of spring, but close enough. For Jack Harris, this is Hood Rubino reporting for DevilsDigest.com.